G'day, guys. Welcome back to Statchat Sports. You're here with Steve and Tazza. And in today's video, we've got the second last episode of the pre-season videos for the new Premier League season. And the day these videos are going live, the following day the season starts. So we're a little bit late to the party, but that's down to me being a little bit ill. So if you can still hear it, I apologize. But we're going to crack straight into it. We're looking at who we got. We got 8th through to 5th. So 8th, the last team to miss out on a European spot. We got West Ham. West Ham is occupying 8th spot for us in our ladder. A little bit of a decline last year from probably where they, I suppose, maybe where they started the season and suppose where they finished the previous season. They were on a flyer. They were looking good. David Moyes done a real job with the squad that he had, but they probably underperformed a little bit last season and finished certainly not where they would have liked. They, had almost a firm grasp on at least a European spot, but they sort of let themselves down a little bit towards the end of the season. But we've got them finishing outside the European football again, but obviously that's the aim for this team.
Yeah, they've got all the pieces there to at least be challenging for a place somewhere in Europe. From memory, it was a pretty hot start for West Ham. I think they started quite well. Mikel Antonio, early purple patch for him, if I'm correct. But yeah, big addition from Serie A in Gianluca Scamacca. I think he could form quite a bit of a good partnership up there, up front with Antonio if they choose to play them two together. 36 million, put away 16 goals last season, so definitely wasn't shabby. It'd be very interesting to see how he walks into that team. And
195
as long as
he's big, or 1.95 meters, should I say? He's a big guy.
He is the definition of a target man. He's probably not the guy who's going to be running in behind defenses. He just put it on his head and he'll probably plonk it in for you. 195 centimeters is a big boy.
And it's a little bit of a different element to their game style, I suppose, because although Antonio's good in the air, that they're not really known for that sort of Route 1 football.
No. Back in the day, they may have been, but not anymore. I think West Ham are a little bit more enterprising than that these days. Jared Bowen, I really want to see him. He took it to the next level last season. He was really consistent, but I think he can, if West Ham are to challenge for this, for European football again, Bowen needs to be very consistent. He needs to keep doing it. And, it's not a knock on him at all. He was great last season. Just we need more for them to challenge.
They've added a centre back to their rankings as well. I'm not too familiar with him. Coming out of Stade Rennais in Ligue 1. So if anyone is out there familiar with him, let us know a little bit more about him. We'd be interested to know, because I was always under the impression that West Ham had a pretty solid defence anyway. Both defensively, but also in terms of going forward and set pieces and stuff like that. They weren't shy of a goal from a set piece, something that Scamacca is going to surely throw his hand in there as well, being the size he is. But I was a bit surprised. I don't know if you know anything too much about this bloke, but I don't know what they're going for there.
I think they paid 30-odd million for him. So it's a steep price to pay. They've clearly seen something in this bloke. 30 million, I know it can be classed as chump change in today's market, but still, for a guy that, I don't claim to be a fanatic at all, but I would imagine not a lot of people have heard of him. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but he doesn't scream headline for me. But yeah, look, they've seen something, but Zuma and Dawson, I thought as a centre back pairing were quite good. So I agree with you there. It's maybe not where I would have invested, probably 30 odd million. I think Fabianski on his day is all right. And they've got obviously Areola, but if I was investing 30 mil, I'd probably put it there. But yeah, I mean, I think their midfield is fine, and Souček and Rice, those two are absolute guns on their day. So, I mean, they got the money, they've got to spend it somewhere.
If you're a fan of West Ham, let us know. Are we a little bit harsh on them for missing out on Europe? But given the team we've got up next year, I think a lot of people are excited to see the way this particular team are going to perform in 2022-23. So without further ado, it is Newcastle, the richest. Well, I believe they're the richest club in the land now.
I'm pretty sure they are.
Yeah, we've got them occupying 7th spot, given the Conference League position.
Yeah, look, Newcastle. Last season, I was obviously they were in the relegation battle, and Eddie Howe coming in mid-season. For me, it was all about get through, just get into the league for next season, and then tackle the next season and see what it holds. A pre-season under Eddie Howe, these players that they brought in throughout the half season gelling. I mean, I just want to see how these guys can really come together. Bruno Guimaraes,
the best Bruno in the league.
It's just 100%. I mean, without a doubt. I don't want to hear any Fernandez bullshit. Guimaraes he kept that team up 100%. He's the way he gelled into that team so quickly. He took it over and absolutely kept them up. I mean, there were a few other names in there that helped. I mean, Saint-Maximin was huge. I can't wait to see these guys with a full Howe preseason.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited as well. I mean, you mentioned it there, like that when Eddie Howe took over and the takeover went through, that the goal for Newcastle was to survive, really, just survive, and see what they can do the following season. They absolutely superseded that beyond anyone's thoughts, basically. And we did mention it in last season's videos, and I can't remember the stat exactly. I haven't got it in front of me, but I believe at the time Eddie Howe took over, only Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola took more points than Eddie Howe. So to say that he just came in and took them over the line is absolutely incorrect. He took them to a contending team, and I think that's really why we've got them challenging for European football this year, because based off of what we've seen last year, they've only added to the ranks. Sven Botman strengthening that back line. They signed Matt Targett on a permanent deal. They bring in Nick Pope, who's, one of the more exciting young English goalkeepers. They bring him in on a permanent from Burnley. So they've only strengthened their squad, which to me means they're going bigger and better. I think they finished 10th last year. Could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're going better than that this season, no doubt.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, like you said, they didn't limp to the line. They absolutely charged. And I think that's what I love about this team. I mean, if teams build through preseason and take this whole plan through a season, and sometimes don't even get to where they want to be. He took this team in the middle of a season and just charged with it. And I've always been sort of, as a onlooker, a Newcastle fan. I've always liked, I mean, even in the Ashley days where there was nothing happening, I always had a soft spot for Newcastle. And so I love seeing him. Just a breath of fresh air at the club. Yeah, but really exciting. Botman's a cool addition. He's a guy who's been talked about with a lot of promise. I know as Liverpool fans, there were rumours that Liverpool were going to get him, I think, a season or two ago. I heard lots about that, but I'm as a passive supporter for Newcastle, I'm happy to see him go there as a second option. But yeah, it's a lot to like about Newcastle.
They've also cleared out a little bit of, I suppose you can say, deadwood in a sense. I mean, Dwight Gale, Kieran Clark, a lot of these people guys that have been around the club for a long time, that haven't made that impact. They're off and about now. They really want a fresh look over there at Newcastle now. So yeah, exciting to see where that goes with them. And I'd love to see them in Europe next year competing with the big boys.
Absolutely, yeah. Fingers crossed I can do well.
Speaking of European football, sixth spot is a team that actually doesn't have European football this year. We're looking at Arsenal. We think a return to European football is where Arsenal belong this season. Look, given, looking at the transfers made from Arteta, I've got to say they're in with a pretty damn good shot.
Yeah, the big one I think everyone's looking at, the most selected player in fantasy Premier League at the moment. Or actually, in from what I'm hearing, history, Gabriel Jesus, coming from City for around about, I think it's 50 million approximately. That's huge for them. He never really, I don't think he ever really had the backing at City. I think he was given opportunities. I'm not sure if he had the full backing there. And I think, well, we've seen in the preseason, he is thriving in that team.
Yeah.
The whole front three there is, I'm not worried, but I think you got to, as Liverpool supporters, we're going to keep a little eye on it, because Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus, it's pretty formidable. It may not have the numbers on the board like the other front threes do, but there is so much promise and talent in it. And I think you could be seeing some pretty good things from that front three.
Yeah, I think Arsenal is the team that a lot of people find just really easy to sort of go after and sort of take the piss out of a little bit. And probably rightly so, given their last, I suppose maybe their reign since Arsene Wenger left. They've been that bit of a, we'll call it banter club. But this year it looks like they're not taking that shit anymore, and they're looking to really stamp some authority back on the league. Obviously you mentioned Jesus, but Zinchenko coming across from City as well. That one maybe raises a little bit of a question mark with me, but there's no doubt that he's a decent player, but I'm just, I'm not too sure whether 35 million on a player like that is maybe the right call, considering you pick up Fabio Vieira on the same sort of price tag. Someone that's touted for big things, from Portugal as well. They've made a lot of good moves, and of course that front three, and I suppose that core four of Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, and Smith Rowe, who really spearheaded Arsenal there, spearheaded their season last season. The only way is up for them from here on out. So, it's exciting to see. But for me, probably it is an inclusion to the team, but it's not necessarily a new one. William Saliba coming back from loan. Now, I've got a lot of mates that are Arsenal supporters, but also a lot of Arsenal supporters that I see online as well. They say this guy is their best centre back, and even when he was on loan to Marseille last season, a lot of people questioning the call. They think he's better than Ben White, Gabriel. For them, it would be Saliba and Gabriel as the partnership instead of Ben White. So interesting to see what happens with him this season. I don't see him going back out on loan. But it'll be interesting to see whether he can hold down that starting spot.
Yeah. It's a lot of money to pay for Ben White to just plonk him back on the bench. I mean, it was brought in on a pretty decent transfer fee. So I would struggle to see them plonking him straight on the bench straight away. I 100% think he gets his chance to prove himself, and he won't go out on loan. But the Zinchenko transfer fee for me, awfully inflated. I mean, he was a squad player. He was pretty decent at City. I mean, he did his job, but he wasn't, to me, paying 35 mil, 30 mil for him was a little bit overs. Probably not what they really needed. But yeah, Arsenal look really exciting this year.
This screams a change in shape for me. I feel like Arteta's always planned to use that back three setup, but he just hasn't had the personnel. I believe he tried it a few times in the season last season, but it just never really worked out properly. Ben White came from a system at Brighton with it when he was he was part of a back three. He was the right-sided centre back of a back three, and that's where he played his best. So I could see that happening, and they use all three. And maybe Zinchenko out on the left, Tomiyasu on the right wing, the wing back. But look, I know there's plenty of Arsenal supporters out there. So if you're excited for the season ahead, if you think they're a little bit low, if you think they maybe could be pushing for Champions League football this year, I think they certainly could be. But for me, it's so tight this season. Pretty much from Europa League to Champions League, it's really, really tight. They can definitely push it, but I just think it's too. A couple of the other teams are too much ahead of Arsenal at this stage. But look, they'll be right there in the pack. So but let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, the top six. Throw a blank. Not the top six. Probably from 3 to 6. I think you can throw a blanket over them almost. There's teams that I would put up higher, as in like we've got. We'll lead into the next one soon, but I mean we've got other teams in front of Arsenal at the moment. But given their pre-season form, I think we could be seeing a little changing of the guard, maybe, possibly.
Well, let's move on now. 5th spot, the last European Europa League spot, and we're going Man United. I'll hand you the reins because we could talk about United all day, given recent form or recent years, should I say? But we haven't got him in Champions League football.
Yeah, so the Ten Hag revolution, it's rolling. I am sick to death of hearing from United supporters how they're just taking over the world. The majority of my mates are United supporters, and I am sick and tired. I mean, it's been a pre-season. Look, there's some good moves. As Liverpool supporters, we just want to hate on United, but I'm going to try and be a little bit impartial here. There are some great moves in there. Lisandro Martinez, I think, is a great move. As far as centre-backs go, he's quite short, but I don't think that needs to be a knock on him because he's pretty ferocious. I think he gets the nickname the Butcher. He's quite tough in the contest. So, but he from the limited time that we've seen him, he looks quite good. There was Tyrone Malacia, I think, a fullback that come in. It's there's plenty of good signings coming in, and I think we need to see a little bit more from Ten Hag before United supporters really start raising the roof. And they were that far off it last season. I don't think the one coach in a preseason isn't going to turn them into a top 4 candidate straight away. And that, for me, I didn't have him in the 4. And that's why I think in our aggregate, they are outside the top 4.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look here. Only Josh had United inside the top 4. The rest of the 3 of us had them finishing here in 5th. So, look, it always takes time for a new manager to really stamp his authority and make his mark on the league. I can't really think of any new manager to the league, should I say, that has come in and done a job instantly. But for me, United have brought in good signings, as you mentioned. But for me, there's still a lot of I'm not going to use the word deadwood, but there's a lot of the problem players from last season are still there. Harry Maguire. There are a lot of talk during the preseason whether he would remain as Man United's captain, and I believe he is.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, which means he's going to play a majority of the games alongside, you would think, Martinez. That means you're leaving a multiple Champions League winner in Rafa Varane on the bench.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Lindelof sits on the bench.
Lindelof on the bench as well. All of these decent players. They did rid of Paul Pogba, who was pretty much poison to that club. Let's be honest.
Yeah, the ego was too much.
Yeah, so good to finally get rid of him. But they have at present, they are still holding on to Cristiano Ronaldo, who quite clearly wants out.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the halftime. I think it was against Rayo Vallecano. Forgive my Spanish pronunciation, but it's left at halftime. If you're a cohesive member of a team, you do not do that. You do not leave at halftime. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or whatever. It doesn't matter what other interests you've got on. Your interest is to that club. That is your number one interest. You just don't do it. Doesn't matter how revered you are at the club. So that for me, at that point, it becomes untenable. I'm not sure if Ten Hag really gets the buy-in from him. He clearly isn't buying into the Ten Hag revolution as it's labelled. Ten Hag would be silly. They've just rid themselves of one ego in Pogba. They don't need another one in Ronaldo dancing around like a diva, doing that kind of bullshit. It's just not. It's you're introducing more poison, as you put it, to that club. So it's like a Band-Aid. Rip it off. He is great. He is one of the best of all time. But I think this club, with the personnel they've got, Martial's been quite good this preseason. I think they just need to persevere with the guys that want to be around, want to hang around and do the right thing.
Question for the comments then, I suppose, is does Ronaldo stay or does he go? And if you were a United fan, do you want him to stay or do you want him to go? I feel like a lot of United fans want him to stay, but is that because it's Cristiano Ronaldo and he's your lifelong, player of the, I don't even know. Your favorite player? I don't know. But I
is he your idol?
That's the word I'm looking for.
Idol.
Yeah.
Do you idolize him?
Yeah, that's probably the word I'm looking for. Because I don't feel like, I've seen a few things flying around from a couple of people out there saying that, that Ronaldo needs to go. But I feel as if the vast majority of United supporters would prefer him to stay because just because of the stature he has in the club. But you don't want the same sort of issue you had with Pogba to happen over there because it's not right for the club.
I think United supporters would be loath to lose him because it reduces the star power of the club. They've just lost Pogba, who was a marketable star. It was just an out and out star. Whether he was performing on the pitch, he was just the word escapes me, but he was just the center of attention, just so marketable. And Ronaldo's the same. So after Ronaldo leaves, is United losing that glamour? Maybe, I think. And to me, United's not what glamour isn't what United needs now. It's just to be United under Ten Hag. And I just United are probably so used to having that star player, that gun that they can just fall back on. But under Ten Hag, they need to be more of a unit. And I think that's why they need to move on.
That's going to wrap us up for this one. Second last episode for the preseason, all done and dusted. We're getting to the pointy end of our preseason predictions, but also, of just preseason in its own right. Season starts tomorrow at the time of recording this. So stay tuned for the next video. We'll be touching on the top 4 which is pretty much what you would think everyone's been waiting for. You know, we can't wait to bring that one out to you. But you know, if you've got any interesting any takes on the topics we've spoken about today, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you're liking the videos if you do enjoy them, of course. Subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.